Hey everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back to my channel. I talked a little bit about that I had a CD ladder and that I wanted to make a video about it, and so I figured we would jump in. And for anyone that isn't aware, a CD ladder is like you can open I don't know if you can do a 1 month. There's like 3 month, 6 month is pretty typical. 12 months is, I believe they go higher or lower than that. But what I did was starting in December of 2023, and I'll draft all this out in a second, but just to give you the lay of the land. In December of 2023, and I was inspired by Debt-Free Jessie. She used to make videos on here years ago, but I don't think she's posted anything in probably close to a year and a half. I may be wrong on that too. It's just been a very long time since I've seen her post anything. And this is actually her CD ladder, so I'll link it below on her Etsy shop. I had bought her previous one, but I don't know what to do with that, and it was on a spreadsheet, and I bought this, so I just included it on my iPad because it's just easier for me to draw. But I digress. I got it from Debt-Free Jessie, and she inspired me because she was opening a CD every single month. And then as the years and as time passed, and this was meant to be a slow growth year emergency fund for her, so every single year that it would come around, she would start funneling more and more money to it. Because when your CD comes up, it rolls over, like it can roll over into another term. You can withdraw it. You can also withdraw early with, like, I think a penalty, and you won't get the full interest. But I had started this in December of 2023 with Ally, and I will walk you through like my first couple years, because right now I'm actually in year 3 of this, and I've had to significantly lower my contribution just given where I'm at in life right now. But for some context, oh my goodness, we are going to come, make sure I'm not actually drawing on that. So first we're going to come in here and do, let's go way smaller. So in 2023, I added my first 150 in December. And so I'm going to say this is technically year 1. This is year 1 as well, but because I started it in December and not January, it's gonna roll over a little bit weird. So if like here, year 1 technically would be 2024 was all the year that I did it. And sorry, just trying to look at my notes because I don't know quite how I'm gonna like phrase this out. If you hear my daughter crying, she's having a hard time falling asleep tonight. My husband is helping. So in January I added 150, which had the balance at 150. And then when year 2, this was 2025, year 3 is obviously 2026. And so here in January, when this came up for its year renewal, and you'll see me do this for all the months, but when this came up for its year renewal, I then added another 150, and then there was, let me see, $7.90 of interest added. So then in year 2, that made the balance $307.90. Now this is where I was planning to go down from 150 to 100. I was only able to maintain that in January of this year. So over this, when the renewal came around again, I was only able to add 100. And then how did I do this on that side? And then my interest at this time was $12.17 of interest. So then right now, this one sits at $420.07 in year 3. Now, again, I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job of explaining this. This for me is long-term. I'm saving originally, and still kind of my thought behind this is that I'm saving, you know, for every single one of these months to have an entire monthly expense. And when I hit the limit in them, then I don't need to keep adding. They just keep accruing interest, and you can just continue to have the balance roll over. And it gives you like I think it was, they said a 0.5 bump for every year that you maintain this with it, which I took these out, like I said, starting in December of 2023 down here. And so my interest on these were like 4.8%. I could pull it up. Maybe I'll do that at some point. But the point being is that this in the long term will take me more than 5 years, but I'm okay with that. I think maybe I've talked about like a bigger goal of making this a year's worth of funds, or at least half of our like needed funds to help just buffer the gap. I'm thinking long term, like that time between when I'm ready to be done working and when I guess I could retire. That still feels all so up in the air. Again, for reference, I work in public education, but I'm leaving. And I'm just changing, not really career paths, but changing jobs, positions, companies. And this next year is going to be a pretty difficult one financially, which is gonna kind of suck. But, you know, sometimes that's just how it goes, and that's where we're at. But I don't qualify enough with Social Security to ever take Social Security, because I'm like 30 points or something away still from that, or I don't even remember. But because I've worked in public education, that goes to a para, which is like a state government funded retirement, like a pension. But I'm leaving before I'm vested for that, so then I also won't have that. So like there's a lot of things up in the air. I digress. None of this is important and doesn't matter to anyone else but really me and my life. But getting back to this, in 2024, truthfully, all of these, the first time I opened these with $150. And if you've ever heard of Debt Free Jessie or you've watched it, she opened her very first ones with $10, added $10 in there for the entire first year all the way around. And then I'll come back to that one in a second. And then I think in her year 2 or year 3, once they paid off their debt and made their like fully and funded emergency fund, then she would just amp this up with all the extra income. So I wish she were still around, because I'd love to see like her update on this personally. Here we added $150. I think this is similar. No, this one was $7.37 in interest, which made this come out to $307.37. And then here was where I had to make the change. So I only added $25, and that's my plan this entire year. But I did have $12, and 15 cents of interest, which has this balance at $344.52. And then same thing here. Again, this second year, every single one of them, I added the $150. Sorry, I'm looking at March. I have my like worksheet for all this kind of off camera. This one only grew $6, and this was just, again, because different varying interest rates when I took them out. So you'll see different interests earned here. But then that brought this one to $306.75. And then here I did 25, but my interest was 12. Oh, and then that made this now be $343. $1,287. And then same kind of thing, $150. My interest for April came out to $6.15, which made this $306. How is this $306.75 as well? Oh, this is $75. I just wrote it wrong. So there's the $306 here again. I've added the $25. My interest here for April was $12.12 in interest. And that made my balance, sorry, I'm getting lost on my spreadsheet, the same, $343.87. $150. My interest here was, it's $675 almost all the way down for a lot of these. And then this also is at $306.75. And then here, this is my last, is this my last one? Yeah, May. This is my last one where I've currently added to it since we're in May. And then I had $11.97 in interest, which now has this at $343.72. And then now we're in June, so this is plus $150, and it was $675. So this one sits at $306.75, and I haven't made this year's transfer because we're not in June yet. And then this was plus $150. This was also $675. $306.75 is how much is in the CD. I hope I kind of explained that well. So like when I started in December, I opened a 12-month CD that I put $150 in. You'll see when I get down here how much I added, how much it grew, so on and so forth. January 2024, I opened another 12-month CD. February, another 12-month CD with $150. So then by the time I opened this one in January, this one only had 11 months until it matured. When I opened this in February, this one only had 10 months until it matured. Like, I hope that makes sense. So then every single month I would open a 12-month CD. So then by the time at the end of the year, I would roll back over to now adding money, earning interest, and starting the whole process over again. So you kind of see that. I haven't finished filling out here, but you kind of see that happening here where I have now added the $100, then the $25. $100 and then the $25 plus the interest I've earned and where they sit as of today. Again, this is a long-term, I think my goal is to hit like $4,500 in each one of these before I make any other kind of plan, and that's going to take me many years, and I'm okay with that. So getting back to where I was, we were going to August. Again, first year when it came matured, I added another $150, and my interest was still $6.75 here, so that brought us up to $306.75. I added the $150. This isn't when it changed yet, right? Nope, it's the next one, $6.75. So today it is at the $306.75. I just hope I'm explaining that well. Then here I added the $150, but with the interest rate on this one, I only earned $6.37, which then has this balance at $306.37. Here I added that $150 again, and then this one dropped as well to $6.15. So this one only has $306.15. Now when we come here, I added the $150, and my interest was $7.90 in interest, which in December of 2024, that made this balance $307.90. And then did I do it wrong? I did do it wrong. This is not accurate for this. This is the December. Oh no, it is right. 420, sorry, 07. My bad. So my intention for this very last one and then starting in 2026 was to add $100 every time. And I only pulled that off in December and January before I dropped it here to the 25 that I could add now given like my current circumstances. And I have no clue what next year is going to look like. So then here, this was year 2 for December. I added 100 and my interest came out to $12.17, which now also has this one at $420.07. So I believe, if I remember correctly, and I tracked this in like my net worth, maybe one day I'll show you guys like my budget and my net worth and stuff, that everything that I do online, and I'll do like a handwritten version of it or something. But when you add up all these of where they stand today, plus all these of where they are, I believe it's just over $4,000. I think it's $4,050. But that's just kind of where I'm at right now. So again, I will link Debt Free Jessie below. I will link this CD ladder. She does a much better job of explaining it, but this is a very, to me and to her, it was like a very long-term plan to get to a place of having an entire year's worth of income saved and just letting that compound interest happen while adding money every month when the CD becomes available for renewal again at its 12-month mark. So yes, every single month, like, it's kind of annoying because when you add the money and it sets interest and it gives you your new balance, it resets to just rolling over the balance, but you have to go in and actually add it. Basically, that's it. I keep reiterating, I will drop all the information down below, but I will try to incorporate this and show updates, probably not every month, but just check in on it. I'm nervous about this year. Like, this would be 2027, and I am stressed about it, let alone going into 2028. My entire like financial situation is about to change, and I'm hoping it's for the positive, but I still don't know yet because I'm about to go into my summer break still working out the kinks. And I'm still trying to take some portions of my summer without having to work a ton, so still figuring that out. But I hope everyone is doing well. Please let me know if this is something that you do or something you're interested in. I will continue, like I said, to check in on this and give more explanation. But again, I reiterate, Debt Free Jessie is who put me onto this. I'd heard about it before, but she explained it in a way that I actually understood, and she got me started on this all the way back here in December of 2023. So I can give you guys like an overview snapshot of where they are. Actually, let me do that. Pause, time out. Because I'm gonna have to, this might be dicey. Maybe this isn't the best. Time out, pause, hold on. Let me see what it shows because I truly don't remember. Can you see it right here above my middle finger? It says CDs, and then I'm gonna cover this whole side because it has everything in it. But there is my December one for 420.07, my January for 420.07. This 1388 and the 787 are something unrelated to this, but they are their own 12-month CDs. And then this is where I go into my February, March, April, May, June. Again, see that hasn't increased like you see literally right here. The May, the 343.72. Before it drops back down to the 306.75 is literally these ones right here. I'm hoping you can see these. But yeah, then that's it. Those are my 12-month CDs literally right there like I showed them to you. So definitely recommend a place like Ally for that because they give you a decent interest rate. And again, this is an extremely long-term plan for me. So I hope I explained that. I'm like tripping over my words. But I hope everyone has a great, phenomenal weekend. Hopefully this put you on to just a different way of saving, because I think this is so fascinating, and I can't wait to just one day in my life, way down the road, cash this in and just have some shit taken care of. Saving for the long game. But be well, babes, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.